All right, we are live. Good morning, everybody. Little technical difficulties. You know what? It's Friday, thank God. And it just, it doesn't even matter. Any program you use, guys, is going to have technical difficulties. So just know that. And, let's kick it off. Day, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry StreamYard gave you so many troubles. But we are here now and it is Friday. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we do anything else and give us the rundown on your business. I'm super excited for everyone to hear.
Of course, thank you so much for having me again. Sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
My name is Adebukola Ajao. I am a Boston native and a digital marketing consultant, small business advocate, and educator. I started my path in digital marketing about 8 years ago, starting a company to help small businesses really stand out in this highly saturated digital market. Of course, when I was starting my business and I would talk to people about digital marketing, people would just kind of like have that blank stare, like, I don't really know, I don't really
Yeah.
get what you're doing here. But of course, when the pandemic happened, everybody was forced to become digital and really accelerated the digital marketing to where it is today. And so I just love being on the cusp of what's new, especially when we're thinking about AI and how we're using AI in our businesses. And so I'm just here to make sure small businesses, and particularly specifically from historically disadvantaged communities, get the supports that they need to take their businesses to the next level and really bridge the income wealth income gap, to be honest with you.
I love
Today
that.
I teach at Northeastern University. I teach marketing there, social media marketing, and brand strategy implementation. I'm also
Cool.
trying to build a new course right now, and I also
Ooh.
have a small business resource platform called For All Things Digital, where we share small
Wow.
business resources for free to the community. And we
That's
also
awesome.
share funding resources, right? Because it's unfortunately many small businesses don't have capital, but also need to market their businesses, and you can't do that without funding. And so over the past 4 years, we've helped small businesses, again, free of charge. We've helped them
That's
access over
awesome.
$600,000 worth of funding. Actually, at
That's amazing.
two of our community members this week won $300,000 collectively in funding. And so I'm just happy to be here and support small businesses.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. I love that. And you're right. It's like a chicken and an egg situation. You need funding in order to move forward, but you can't move forward without funding.
Yeah.
So I think any free resources as a small business owner, I can tell you I took advantage as much free resources as I could find when I first started. So that is amazing. And now you are pretty active on Instagram and LinkedIn. You have great audiences on both. Tell us a little bit about building those audiences as a small business yourself. You know firsthand what it's like to build an audience. So tell us a little bit about the platforms you're active on, how you engage, and just for anyone listening, really to understand, she didn't wake up with 3,000 followers on her LinkedIn, you guys. So, and you have a beautiful following and a beautiful Instagram. It's very lovely, too. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so again, back in 2020, when the pandemic really shifted the culture and shifted how we do things, we saw a
Yeah.
lot of businesses, even brick and mortar. That's like really, it's so weird because it was a time of just uncertainty for a lot of businesses. But for me, my business ended up being a really big solution to a lot of businesses' problems. Again, no one
Yeah.
really cared about digital marketing like that. People didn't really understand why their
Totally.
businesses have a business page on Instagram. And so when the pandemic happened, a lot of people were looking for support. And that's where I came. And I was equipped to help many businesses build Zoom rooms. I helped school district build Zoom
Oh my
rooms
God, so cool.
to make sure that their students could learn online. Because again, most school districts never ever in the history of their school ever had to be online. And I also helped many businesses. Well, my company helped a lot of businesses pivot from digital marketing. I mean, from brick and mortar to digital marketing, right? And
So
so
cool. Yeah.
in the process of doing that, of course, I'm building an audience, right? I'm talking to the public
Yeah.
about I'm like sharing my process as I'm growing, right? Because it was still uncertain for me too as a business. And so that's kind of where my I started building my followership because again, So many people needed resources. So many people were reaching out. I was getting recommended to so many people. It became overwhelming. And so I built a small team that I still work with today, to help. So my company can help many businesses solve their problems around just growing online, making sure their businesses are staying afloat. Because of course, with the pandemic, a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people lost their jobs, and so a lot of people
Yeah.
started pivoting to entrepreneurship to make ends
Yeah.
meet. And so we're the solution to a lot of people's problem. But then I realized, like, you know what? Okay, I can't do this on an individual basis. Let me make sure that I can actually share resources with everyone widely. And that's how my newsletter started. So I started my
Yeah.
newsletter internally, and then I started cross posting to LinkedIn because
Ooh, I like that.
back in 2021, I believe, right? 2021, maybe towards the end of beginning of 2022, LinkedIn came out with many, many features because LinkedIn is trying to rebrand itself as a platform into a
Yeah.
creator platform, right?
Yes,
So it's
very
a
much so.
professional platform, but it's trying to be a creator platform like Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms. And so they came out with a newsletter feature, which allowed me to cross post both newsletters. So I'm building an audience internally, but I'm also building another audience here on LinkedIn. So there are people who exclusively read my newsletter on LinkedIn only, and there's some people who read it on both platforms. And that's really how I was able to build my audience, by giving value to my audience, and making sure they have all the resources they need. So every Monday at 9 a.m., without a doubt, they'll be receiving a newsletter full of resources, funding, and everything we typically share, whether it be events, or experiences, resources. They're all free of charge to the community, and we make sure to put that in there and make sure people get what they need.
I just threw that in the chat for anyone listening because, guys, seriously, listen to that one more time. She grew her audience because she gave value. And the newsletter is an awesome feature. I have a lot
Yes,
of clients that do it. I personally have not done it yet. Working my way there, as you know, small business, only so much
of course.
bandwidth. Um, but it is an awesome tool. And I love what you said that you cross post it. And that's something really important. I think that's another topic we'll cover on the LinkedIn Live throughout the year is that concept of repurposing,
Mm,
is that you're not creating two different newsletters. You don't need to do that. You know, there are
yep,
people that are reading it on LinkedIn. There are people that are reading on your other platform. And that is okay. And if somebody sees it in both places, like it's not a big deal. I think people get really hung up on like the need to like create new content every single time, and that's just not the case. You don't need to do that. But one thing I do want to point out that you said that I think everybody needs to hear is that you do have it outside of LinkedIn, and that is really important because you don't own LinkedIn. If LinkedIn went down, you know, then you would lose all those contacts. But it's wonderful that you have it in another place. And that's something also that I think people forget is that like you don't own your followers on Instagram, guys. You don't own the followers here on LinkedIn as much as you think you do. If the platform were to close tomorrow, which happened to LinkedIn yesterday and a few weeks before that, you're kind of out of luck. So I just want to call attention to the fact that you said that because it's really important for people to remember. um, you got to have the audience outside of the platform.
absolutely. Like owning your audience is very, very crucial because, as you said, if any of these platforms, when you're on a platform, I think people don't realize like when you're on a platform, not only do you not own it, it's not really your platform. That
Yeah,
is your marketing tool to get to your platform, right? So I see a lot
exactly.
of
Yeah,
people building Instagram communities, and that's very, very important. But I'm very big believer that my audience does not live on Instagram. Instagram is just a marketing tool to get people to the
exactly.
and to get people to the
Exactly.
resources, because we just simply don't own them. And not only do we not own them, we don't really have access to who we want to have access to. When you own your own platforms, when you have your own website, when you have your own private communities, you can directly interact with and ensure that
Yeah,
whatever platforms, whatever resources you're posting, that the majority of your audience or your community will see
you'll
it.
actually see
Whereas
it.
on
Yeah.
Instagram, I'm kind of just like gone with the wind. I post something, I don't know who's going to see it. I don't know who's going to interact
Yeah.
with it. Only way I can guarantee that particular people in my community, because again, there are resources that come across my desk every day, and I know so many of my audience members so well that I'll just directly send an individual something that I know would be good for them. Because again, I can't tell if I post something if they're going to see it. I cannot in any way, shape, or form guarantee that unless I directly send to individual people, right? And so
Yeah, yeah,
that's
it's
another
a really
reason
good point.
yeah, I think that's another reason why owning your audience is very, very crucial. Not only just because you don't want to lose access to them, but you want to gain access to everyone who's in your
Yeah.
community.
And as you know, so a day is part of our chronic boss community that you guys know I'm a part of. And that is that's something that I know Lily, shout out to Lily, has been working really hard
Shout out to Lily.
in is building those kind of individual connections.
Yeah.
We're on a platform called Circle, guys. Look it up. It's super cool. We've had great luck with it so far on the Chronic Boss Collective. But one thing that we talk about as a leadership team on the Chronic Boss is really building relationships individually, because Circle's also not a platform that we own. As beautiful of a community as it is, Lily's goal is to really make people have these organic interactions one-on-one outside of the platform too. So it is really important, and I'm so glad we went in this direction with the chat. What else did I have to say? I wanted to ask you to share. Do you have any cool stories? I'm sure you do, since you have a lot of personal connections and you've done some really cool things for the community. Any cool stories or moments in building your audience that you want to share? Last week, Lauren had like a heartwarming one and a funny one. So no pressure, but if you have any cool stories to share, the audience did love that. So
Absolutely. I have so many stories to
I
share.
figured, yeah.
Funny, and I think one story I will share again is another story that I got this week again of an incredible business, and I'll share this with you so we can share after um,
Perfect.
live because it's not public yet, so I can't share who it is. But a
Oh,
small
how
business
exciting.
owner. I have a private channel. It's called the Broadcast Channel on Instagram. Which I love that they started this channel because it's almost a place where you can just talk to your audience without um, any distraction. You can give them what they need and they can go about their way. I also love
Yeah.
the channel because if you choose to join it, that means you want to be in it, right? It's not just a
Yeah, yeah.
random page you follow. And if you're in it, you'll pretty much get everything. Anytime I post something, you'll get an alert. There's no leaving it up to chance about whether you saw it or not.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
in this, and unfortunately, with channel, you cannot interact with other people. You don't know who's in it. Like Instagram doesn't show you that information. It's just the channel that you broadcast your information on. And so I have to rely on my community members to reach out to me directly or reach out to my team directly and say, hey, this happened for me, or whatever the case may be. In the past, I don't know, 8 weeks of the year, we've posted about two, at this point, 3,000 grants. That's typically how much we
That's
post in
amazing.
1 year. So what we posted in
That's amazing.
2023, 3,000 grant opportunities, we've already posted that within the first 8 weeks of the year, right?
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
it's incredible, and
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, I'm really excited and so happy for so many businesses because as of this week, again, I said earlier in the call, I have two community members who collectively have won $300,000 worth of funding for their small business, and I think this is both of their relatively first time winning a funding that huge, and this is funding they don't have
That's
to pay back.
amazing. Oh,
Um,
that's amazing.
and so, that for me, that is just such a success story because, when you support people and you're a service provider and you share resources, you never know what will happen to them, right? Like grants are not guaranteed, success is not guaranteed. I'm just
No,
here to make sure people have access. Just that access alone can really make a difference. And so it just feels good to know that everything that my team is doing is making a difference when people come to us and say, hey, I won this grant, or because we're also grant writers, the new service that we offer, again, because of the need of
oh,
our community.
that's good to know. We get that question a lot.
Yeah,
So
we've had to pivot. I think a lot of marketers are pivoting to grant writing because, again, if you're a service provider and you're particularly working with a population that can't afford your services, right? You have to be
yeah.
creative in how to support them. And so we're not only a marketing agency, but we also help people with funding, not just grant funding either. We partner with a financial institution to help people
Oh,
with
nice.
getting healthy loans, fixing their
That's
credit,
awesome.
and making sure that their portfolios are robust, right? So that was a
That's
side
awesome.
note. But again, the success stories that are coming out of our community are just incredible, and I'm so
Oh, I
excited.
love that.
And I'm able to really, be confidently walk into rooms and really talk about the impact of the work that we're doing. Like there's without a shadow of a doubt real impact happening here. I have no doubt about it, and it feels good to know that. And so for the now to my other story, right? That to another story that connects with all of this is that um, Lily and I met at Northeastern University. We are both
Yes.
alums. I teach there now, and they have an award called the Women Who Empower Award, Innovator Awards. And for the past about 4 years, I had been applying to it because I believe that for all things digital, and my marketing agency and our equitable business model is something that's innovative. And every year I wouldn't get the award. There was one year
Uh,
became a finalist, but I had surgery and I couldn't move forward. And so it was really hard. But I applied last year, hoping that I would place someplace. Like I didn't even
yeah.
I got third place because every award is attached to funding. And to my surprise, I won first place in my category and won my company and my resource platform $25,000. And
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Wow.
so, and Lily won the award. She won in two categories as well. So we've been really close from that experience, and we'll forever be close. And
Oh
I'm saying
my
that
gosh.
to say we were able to use the funding to support the work even more. And because of this funding and being able to
Yeah.
hire
That's
interns
amazing.
and people to do research, because all the resources we share, we research these things. Like we
Yeah,
dig
you got to. Yeah.
so that we dig through the trenches so that small business owners don't have to do that work. Like we've done your work for you. So every Monday you get our newsletter. That's the work, that's the service that we're providing you. So you can focus on your business and not worry about, all right, when's the next grant that I'm applying to? Like you can literally just come to our page and find what's relevant for you and go about your business, right? No pun intended. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm just so grateful and happy that we're able to do that because again, that funding trickles down into being able to help more people. And when we're able to help more people, we have wins like the two incredible businesses this week who won $300,000. So
That's amazing.
$25,000 has translated into so many people being served because without that funding, we wouldn't have enough people to do research enough to even provide people with those opportunities. And
That's
so it's so crazy how like
it's a
um
trickle down effect.
trickle down effect, right? Like a trickle down effect of positive support and funding. Like when you fund women's businesses, only great things happen, right? And so I really implore anybody who's watching, who's a funder, who's interested in funding, to really invest in women, because we will turn your sand into gold.
I love that. And it's crazy that it really does all start by giving your audience value.
Yeah.
It is finding those resources and it's like you slowly built up. You started with a few resources, built the audience, and then it's just kind of been this mountain from there. And that's amazing. And that's really, what we are imploring our audience to do too is, guys, like just starting small, finding the small resources, building the audience, more resources, more audience, and then you too will be giving out $25,000 to people one day. But so, what do you tell your small businesses that are trying to make a dent on either Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook? What kind of resources do you share with them to help them understand these platforms? Because you're right, I think I was in the same boat in 2020 where I just started my business in 2020, but it was because I saw the need. People really didn't know too much about digital marketing, or they did, and they were just doing in kind of general terms. But
Mhm.
2020 really put us in a position to dig into digital marketing in a much more in-depth way. So, what would you say to the people that are still dipping their toe in the digital world or LinkedIn or Instagram?
I first want to tell them, do not worry. I feel like a
Yep.
lot of small businesses have a lot of anxiety around
Yep.
social media, and it's very understandable. I was reading something yesterday that in 2024, you don't need a social media manager. You need a social media team.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a one person job. And, I don't think it really ever was. I know
I
that was
love
the
that.
perception because it was easy for people to just, because there are individuals who have gone on Instagram and have been very successful. But when you're running a business, right? Like, so let's leave personal branding for a second. When you're running a business, your social media needs a lot of support because your social media is now a touch point for customers to contact and build a relationship with you. And a lot of business owners build these platforms and they're not well equipped to answer questions, to answer DMs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when we, for example, I don't know, a random clothing store, like when we reach out to them on Twitter about our orders, we're expecting a response back, right? And so a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of consumers feel like if you have a platform, I should be able to reach out to you on that platform and speak with you. And so a lot
Yeah.
of small business owners forget content and building. They're not even equipped to build to talk to people. And
The
so
engagement piece, which
uh,
as we know is super important.
so I would tell some small business owners to number one, do not worry. I know I just said a lot that
Yeah.
like makes people worry, but don't worry.
Don't
And
fret, guys.
seriously, and to use that time and energy instead of going on the platforms and just putting out whatever, take the time to actually build your brand. Who do you want? Who are you speaking
Research.
to? Why are you speaking to them? What are their pain points? How does your content and your business solve them? What is your voice and messaging? Because I always tell people marketing is two things. If you went down to the meat and bones, it's writing and visuals, right?
Yep.
Those are two main ways people consume. And now in the contemporary world, marketing is also audible, right? Because you can
Yep.
listen to things and consume things through your ears, right? And so it's very, very important that as a business, you build that brand voice and you build the brand messaging and copywriting so that you know how to approach social media. A lot of people come into social media without having a strong idea of what they're striving to do. And so they get here and they're nervous and they don't know what to do or they don't know how to build. And so the second thing I will say is do not worry about reaching everybody. Every
Yeah.
single person on the planet is not your customer. And so I know vanity metrics are a thing and it does feel good when you have 10,000, 20,000 followers. We have clients that have 1 million followers and don't really make any real revenue. Like that's just
Yeah.
so like followers don't
That's
equal
mind-boggling.
right. It's mind-boggling. Like followers don't equal dollars in many instances, especially if you're just building a brand and it's not attached to actual business and revenue building.
Right,
Um,
right.
it's just like a passion
Exactly.
project, or if you're like just a
A
page for Instagram
personal brand. Yep,
personal
exactly.
brand, for example. And people have made money from personal branding and influencing, but again, there is this misconception that the more followers you have, the more successful you are. I have businesses that have $1,000 followers and made six figures last year. Like made more money
Yeah,
than many people I know, right? And so find who your audience
exactly.
is and continuously build relationships with them. And the reason why this particular business was successful is because they have so many recurring consumers and clients, right? They're not trying
Yeah.
to reach everyone. They can't service everyone. They're a small business themselves. If every single person wanted their service, they would shut down. I think a lot of business owners don't think about that. If every single person on the planet that you wanted to support your business did, you would shut down. You wouldn't be able to service them all. And so it's
Yeah.
really important to hyper focus on building an audience that will come back to you over and over again, than have 1 million people that you're kind of just like giving minimal support or services. And so that's the second thing I would say as far as building a platform and going on socials. And then another thing, and I know this is kind of like
Yeah.
offshoot and it's not as
No,
important,
no, this is important. Yeah.
it is important, and this third thing I'm going to say is to make sure that you're claiming your digital real estate on these platforms. So even if you're not well equipped to post on Instagram or really build your brand just yet, go on as many platforms as possible and acquire your name because I'm literally going through a legal battle with a client on behalf of a client trying to acquire their name, right? And so a lot of people
Oh,
say, "Oh, as a business, as a platform, as a business, you don't have to be on every platform." Now, while you don't have to be on every platform, you should always go and acquire that name
you
because
never know where your audience will take you.
you never know where your audience will take you, but you also want to protect your brand, right? So,
Yeah,
uh,
that too.
when you're building a brand and people see that you're successful, cyber bullying and cyber, fraud is really big today, right? And
Oh,
weirdly enough, small businesses are actually the most vulnerable because we have the least protection. Coca-Cola
yeah.
has a cyber
A
I'm
team.
whole
Yeah.
cybersecurity like I don't know, business probably. They probably own
Y
cybersecurity businesses at this point to protect their assets, and small businesses are becoming very vulnerable. So whatever you do, make sure that you acquire your digital real estate on as many platforms as possible. So should you choose to build it, you can, but also you can read if people, I don't know, if you are a fashion brand and someone's on Reddit and they find your business page, again, it might not have anything on it, but you can redirect them to your website. They know they can find you on different platforms. I think that's another benefit. But I think it's just really important because I want people to know, especially from the pandemic, a post pandemic reality is that you're not only a physical being, but you're a digital being as well, right? And
Yep.
as a digital being, you want to make sure that you own as much, like almost in real life, as buying real estate. You want to make sure you have your digital real estate and that you own it and nobody can claim it. I've seen
That's a
even
really good point.
brands. I've also seen people with personal brands, people duplicating their pages and stealing their traffic.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
so many
It's
things.
very confusing. I follow a couple personal brands on Facebook, and I'm like, wait, is this the person or is that the person?
At,
Happens
yeah,
all the time. It's very confusing. And, some of these people, I mean, most of these people I don't know at all. So I have no idea if, A page is their real one or B page is.
right,
So just remember that, like, what's real, and you may say, like, oh, not a big deal. It's flattering. Someone's copying me. No, it is a big deal because your real audience doesn't know. So
right.
remember that. No, this is awesome. And you made a great point about the followers to being engaged. I think that is a huge misconception in our world, that more followers equals more money.
Mhm.
And shout out to my marketing manager, Melissa. We were just talking about this the other day. Nothing grinds our gears more than when someone's like, let's do a follow chain. Like, that's not helpful. If people aren't, if you're going to follow me and you're not my ideal audience, then that's
Mhm.
just going to bring down my engagement. And,
Right.
engagement is, an engaged audience is way better than a million follower audience that doesn't
Yeah,
engage.
for
So,
sure.
I think that that's a huge point. And the point about buying all your real estate, that is not something that we talk about enough. So that's huge. And I'm gonna recap our chat and remind people of that, because it's just not something we talk about enough. So
Absolutely. Buy your domains for your own
yeah.
name, business name. If you have an idea, like as soon as like my clients talk about ideas, I'm like, wait, let's go buy the domain. Like before we even continue with this
Yeah.
conversation, let's go get it because that is your platform. That's your own platform. And if you don't own that, like now we have to think of another name because you do not. It's really a pain when you build a brand and someone else has your website name and you might like
Yeah.
make a differentiation for your website name now because they have it. But when people are looking up your business, all that traffic is going to go to the other place that has your name. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Um,
Don't be Sierra Mist, guys. Don't be
yeah.
Sierra Mist. If
So
anyone doesn't know the story, Sierra Mist, that's exactly what happened to Sierra Mist, and now that's why they're Starry. Starry is Sierra Mist, but Sierra Mist,
okay, right. I didn't know that.
yep, that's exactly what happened. Somebody bought the Sierra Mist, and
There is
basically that's so. If you notice how you not seen Sierra Mist lately, and you saw that really random drink Starry on the
I know
shelves,
the
that
same thing.
it's the same thing. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so don't be Sierra Mist.
Wow. I had no idea. I thought Starry was just a competitor or something like that. I had no idea. That's crazy. No, I'm literally on their
Y-
site right now. You're right. I
Yeah, yeah.
were a miss and it took me to Starry. That is crazy. Yep.
Shout
Don't
out to my husband for telling me that. So,
that.
yeah, so it's an incredibly real thing, you guys. If it could happen to Pepsi, then it could happen to you. And no doubt, Pepsi probably had a team fighting this. So,
Course, legally,
um,
right? And if they couldn't win, can you imagine a small business going through this? Is crazy.
I just feel like, no, forget it. So no, this has been awesome. If anyone has any comments, now's the time. But the cool thing about these LinkedIn lives is they live on my page. So I'm sure we'll get lots of viewers after the fact too. Thank you so much for coming. Any final words for our audience to encourage them to build their audience?
Yes. Just remember that as you're building an audience, is there's no the path is not linear. It's definitely
True.
not easy, but do what feels best for your brand and do what feels best for the people that you're trying to reach. Again, when you're solving people's problems, without a shadow of a doubt, your audience will grow. Set those KPIs, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not
Yeah.
trying to reach everybody, set those KPIs because at the end of the day, this is your business, this is your platforms. You determine what success is, right? So like when I tell people, we have 7,000 followers across or 7,000 subscribers across, different platforms. There are some brands that have 100,000 subscribers, right? But
Yeah.
7,000 access to 7,000 small business owners, that's success to me, right? Like being able
Yeah.
to directly speak with them and support them. Whereas another brand could have something bigger, but not actually really have the capacity to really touch everyone. They're just kind of here, and people love what they have. And so success looks different across different businesses. So definitely
It
don't compare
really,
yourself.
yeah.
Do what's best for you and do what's best, most importantly, for your audience.
Exactly. And the cool part is that people like you and me can help people get
Yes,
there. You know,
exactly.
this you don't have to do it alone,
Yep.
whether you're helping small businesses like you are, or I help life science companies. There is somebody out there. If it's not me in a day, then there is somebody out there that can help you build your business and your presence. But call
Absolutely.
us first.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Reach out to us. Support you. It's so crazy because, again, I keep going back to the pandemic because I feel like we're just in a post-pandemic world. There
Yeah.
wasn't all of the information that people are sharing for free were like people would gatekeep
Was
them, right? It wasn't until the pandemic that information became decentralized, right, and democratized across
yeah.
communities. And I actually built for all things digital and my company prior to the pandemic happening. And I started this platform and I was already sharing things. But again, people didn't either find value in it, didn't know why I was posting it. And then I had naysayers who were like, oh my God, don't post this stuff. Like you could get paid to share this information. And I'm like, at the end of the day, my company believes that the what to do is free, but the how to do it is not free, right? So like we'll give you all the information. Now, if you want us to use our physical, labor to support you, of course we need to be paid for our labor. But outside of that, I would share any information with any business for free at any time, any day, because people
Yep.
deserve information.
Yep. That is exactly it. It is the what, not the how, or the how, not the what.
Right, right.
We'll lead you to water, and that's our goal, is to lead you to the water. We will give you the information to help you get there. And if you need help implementing, that's why people like us are around. But there's no need to gatekeep, especially because if we don't share it, someone else is going to. So you might as well just share it. And that's, something that I think a lot of small businesses hesitate to, like, should we really be putting out this out there? Yeah, you're not doing it for them. You're just giving them the information. And
Absolutely.
that's how you build an audience, by providing that value.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. This has been amazing. Everyone have a great weekend. And next week we have a LinkedIn guru who's going to be telling us a little bit about AI and LinkedIn, Angela Pitter. So see you guys then. Bye, Ade. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Peace.